Yo, what's going on everybody? Xanthos Vice here, and we are finally back with the Trails tier list. I hope you guys have a great day so far. Yeah, don't worry. I actually do have a playlist of some of the tracks that I did like from the Trails in the Sky series. I'm just playing it after I do this whole little spiel I always do. So anyway, where we last left off, we had finally finished the entirety of the Trails in the Sky trilogy. And I cannot say I loved it. Like seriously, it it can only be defined as peak of the Legend of Heroes. I can't go into any further than that. But yeah, today we are gonna go over the tier list once again to go back and reflect on a lot of characters that I missed during the last time that I did this from the Trails in the Sky series, since I was on a long hiatus from after I finished the first chapter up to the end of third. So we will actually focus first on the side character, or I mean the main cast who are already on the tier list first from the Sky series, and then we'll make our way to all these other characters that haven't been listed, and then we'll go into my thoughts and changes on like some things about like other characters over the course of this. We have time to repeat the greatness of Reen and McCrow, Kevin, Brent, you know it. I said, yo, what's up, Iron? But yeah, anyway, let me go ahead and play the track. Let me know if the volume's good for you guys, because I can adjust the volume if I have to. Oh, okay, my bad. That might be too loud. Let me lower that a bit. Okay. Let me know, is the volume better now? I can lower the volume on this if I need to. But yeah, just let me know if I need to lower the volume here. If I have to, I'll do it. Or actually, just let me lower the volume on the YouTube video itself. Okay. Let me know, does this work for you guys? I just want to make sure before I actually go into my thoughts, otherwise it's gonna like eclipse the whole damn thing, and I feel like it would be a problem otherwise. That's fine? Okay, good. Alright, so first of all, of course, we gotta start off with the protagonists of the series. So first we'll start with Estelle, then Joshua, and we will go to Kevin. But yeah, after going through everything with Trails in the Sky, Estelle has definitely hit the mark for best protagonist of the series. Because, I mean, what can you say? She was amazing. And her growth throughout the story was at a good pacing. It wasn't anything too, like, rushed. It wasn't anything too long-winded that it's like, oh, just get to the freaking point. It's like, it went through, like, each step of the way. Like, what her strengths were, what her weaknesses were, what there could still be for, like, her in the future. And that's only just focusing, like, on like herself as an individual. Like, what did she think being a bracer means? Would she really be able to handle it, knowing the kinds of confrontation she would have to get involved in? First, when it went to the people, when it came to ordinary requests, and then later on when it came to public security, and then others where it's like it really started to hit the fan when it came to Ouroboros and international criminal organizations. And again, that's just still focusing on her bracer side, but also her drive to go for Joshua, to like be his pillar of support throughout all of this, was really well written. Because I love Estelle so much to this day. I wouldn't say she's like my wife, but it's like she's definitely like one of the goats all time. It's like she'd definitely be like one of those like amazing friends in the friend group that's like you like, oh yeah, of course it's her. She'd be like the center of attention. And again, she doesn't like goad it off as if like, oh, she's overpowered or her connections or what drives her. No, it's like she knows herself, her own weaknesses and such. And that was really well defined, like when she was apart from Joshua, when they reunited, how she handled the situation between them. It was just really good. And seeing her also kind of like try to have to be the big sister of the group when it came to the whole events of Trails in the Sky Third, what with Kevin now being on the other side of things from where Estelle was. And it was just really great to finally see that conclude. And again, just goes to the point where it just sets up for what happens next in the Azure. So before we do any of that, oh, my bad. I just muted it because it went to an ad automatically. There we go. Alright, so yeah, I will definitely be moving Estelle to the S. And note that these places aren't like automatically set yet. Like, I'm gonna change the order in a bit, But like I said, I'll save the ordering to the end. I'm just trying to define like what ranks they would go to. But yeah, just based on everything when it came to Estelle trying to like move past like just only thinking about like her mother, trying to meet the expectations that everyone has of her for being the child of a Cassius Bright, and with Joshua usually being the brains of the group, or of the pair. It's just really nice to see Estelle step up as her own person, as a capable woman who is able to rise to the challenge if need be. And now we will move on forward to Joshua. And again, really great dynamic we had here with like both of them being the main characters as a pair, and then having them both like go their separate ways. And we did at least get to see like each of like parts of where they had like their moments of strength, their moments of weakness, like I said before. But Joshua's was definitely a more interesting thing now that I know more in depth of the stuff regarding Hamel, Louvre, Cotton, and everything else going on. And it was nice to actually see that it's like, yes, Joshua felt like he did betray them, because sure, people would think like, oh no, but that was just me before. But he takes it to heart because he cared so much about the people who brought him back from the depths of hell, who showed him what it was like to be a person and everything. So just the fact that he was hurting those very people who were supporting him for so long, I loved seeing that from him, because again, it comes down to the whole situation where it's like they know they did something wrong, but they're not just gonna let it fly past because it was the past. It's still something they did do. It's still something that affected everyone today. And not only the specific parties that they interact with, but also all the other bystanders who just get indirectly affected by everything. And I think that shows a good level of maturity to Joshua as well, especially considering how young they were at this point in time when it came to the end of Trails in the Sky first chapter to second. And even then, just seeing that he wants to resolve this in his own way, but even then he still kind of knew he couldn't do it alone. So not like he begged the Capua family to help him, but just more so that he was okay with them tagging along, because he knows going against an organization like Ouroboros, especially Weissman, is no easy task, mind you. It definitely isn't that easy. And again, that's still just the forefront of his adventure as well. Then actually seeing the times where he tries to deny everything from Estelle, not for his own self-righteousness, not just for the sake of being like, oh, you're too weak for this, just more like he knows there were too many uncontrollable variables where he can't guarantee that Estelle would be safe. And just that fear, it's like you could definitely probably see it from the lines of where he evoked his emotions and told his true feelings to Estelle. Which again, makes me disappointed that it's like it wasn't voice acting at the time, but again, pretty old game, so it's like I can kind of give it a pass for now. Especially since when you look at like Zero and Azure, those had a remake later, so probably those had way more voice acting only for like now compared to like how it was at the initial release. So yeah. Also another reason why I'd have to put Joshua up here as well, because also seeing him kind of reflect with Kevin as well, being like, wow, now I understand. I'm not the only kind of person in this kind of situation. But it's like, even so, it's like, he knows, like, he understands, yes, you can get attached to stuff in the past where it actually affected someone, but also more later on where it's like, it doesn't control everything in your life. Your past did make you a part of who you became, but it's not everything that defines the individual. So yeah. Hence why I do have to put Joshua up here in S rank as well. Like I said, I'll move things around later, but just putting them in their ranks. I mean, would Weissman be S tier? Be a given? Okay, yeah. Yeah, actually, I'll probably just look down the list of the people who are already here who are from the Sky series to make that easier for us. So yeah, next up, it would be Weissman. And yeah, I mean, come on. I have to give Weissman an S rank. He is the best villain in the entirety of the Legend of Heroes series. The Kefka of the Trail. Wait, what's Kefka? But yeah, Weissman, he is a true villain to the very end. Even in the afterlife where we saw him again, or like a reflection of his soul in the artificial Gehenna, it still like showed like Weissman was just a piece of shit, and he did not care who was in his way, but he would just continue on to understand what existed in the higher plane. And again, goes to the concept where it's like sometimes the wisest of us can also be the most dangerous, because he really did evoke that. Because after from learning this, now finally understanding Weissman's roots, especially from Trails in the Sky 3rd, it really does emphasize more of just like how far he was willing to go to get this information. Kefka is the most violent villain in the entire Final Fantasy franchise, the main villain of Final Fantasy VI. Oh, really? Okay. Never seen Final Fantasy VI, so okay. That's why I was like, is he maybe trying to allude to a different character whose name I don't know or don't remember from somewhere else? But yeah, Weissman would definitely be up here because not only the stuff he did to Joshua, but also he was a man who was very thorough in his plans, and he actually was someone who, in their little circle of Ouroboros, as the Inquisitors, tried to take the plan from the Grandmaster and engineer it to where it would only fulfill his main desires, no matter what, to the point where he actually had to get executed by the heretic hunter Kevin, and the Campanella even knew about that. Ryu, do you plan to do a Daybreak tier list too? Probably not yet. Because, like I said... Oh, wait, give me a second. I just need to beat this real quick. I will do that tier list at some point down the line. It won't be anytime soon, though, because, like I said before, I need to see if any of the other Daybreak characters do anything more later on. So hence why I'm waiting for Horizon. Because I'm hoping we at least get more emphasis or like more roles for people like Kashim or Shizuna, because they really didn't do anything in the second game, but they were like lightly introduced in the first one, and that's basically about it, you know? It's like, don't get me wrong, I'm not gonna say it's gonna majorly change the game or change my entire perspective on them, but at least it will give me a bit more to work with when trying to make an assessment like fair on the stuff I've seen, what I can interpret, and what I've actually experienced, and then can theorize. So I wouldn't be doing Daybreak yet. I will do one later on, but now it's just not the time for it. But yeah, overall, Weissman, he is just a true villain. He didn't want anyone to understand him. He didn't want anyone to pity him like Daybreak villains. He was just, all in all, just wanted to see the heights of the gods. And it didn't matter who got in his way. And even to the fact that it's like he still had control over Joshua as like his final trump card. It's like, finally, someone who had an actual backup plan, which hadn't been resolved yet at that point in time. So yeah, Weissman also does have to go S rank. He'd probably be the only Trails villain I could ever give S rank to. Probably. Just by seeing how things are going as we progress through the series more and more. I mean, who knows, maybe someday they actually will make it a decent villain where I can at least put them in the A rank, but aside from that, I probably wouldn't. But yeah, that's enough about me for Weissman. And now for Chloe. Chloe von Auslese. I definitely moved Chloe to S rank as well. And yes, I know, a lot of that you know that isn't possible. We saw the villains only get worse. Yeah, that's true. But that's what I'm saying is like, you never know. Maybe they have that one little accident, you know? But yeah, all I can do is dream. But that's all it'll most likely ever be, a dream. Oh, right. Anyway, regarding Chloe. Yes, I know it does seem like I'm moving a lot of people to S rank. But again, most of these were initially just my perspectives and my understandings of these characters from when I did almost the entirety of the Legend of Heroes, but I had stopped at Sky 1, or first chapter. So hence why it's like, a lot of these are going to change, some probably for the better, some for the worse. But hence, at least for now, I definitely know a lot more about Chloe. Like, I obviously knew she was the princess of La Pearl, but actually seeing her also take her own steps as well. Like, towards her... And the other thing is, with Chloe, they did an amazing job with her development and also her character growth. Or I guess those are still one and the same. But they did that really well in Trails in the Sky the 3rd. Because holy shit, did we actually get to learn about her actual personality. Because we barely got any in like the start, even though she was kind of joining, and we only learned of her real identity later on. Second, I wouldn't say it did a bad job necessarily, because she was also like someone who could kind of understand what Estelle was going through, because she also did have feelings for Joshua to some extent. But not so much that it was like it went to the exact same length, so it's like I couldn't really say it's like, is she like the exact same kind of person, or is she just like a girl with the first male companion she's ever gotten acquainted with or something like that? But it's like, no, they went hard on like actually being able to see like what she was like before, how her situation from only being with her grandmother, considering both her parents had passed, how that affected her, where she went from there, and like I said, her improvement as an individual, and being able to take the reins as the new head of La Pearl. And again, she went from just being a love story girl to being someone who can finally take charge and finally has at least some confidence to take the role that she was meant to shoulder. Especially since a lot of the first chapter and good part of the second chapter was about her having doubts if she could actually take the role that her parents were and that she's supposed to do when they were still alive. So yeah, I thought it was really nice to see that from Chloe. And like I said, Tristan Sky Third, because of the way they did like the whole sun door, moon door, star door thing, it really did a great job of like expanding on stuff about characters that's like you'd find unusual in the main story, but because it was like a lot of like a space where it's like people's minds and hearts would be exposed, really did a great job of being able to visualize and physically recreate those moments for the intended purpose, right? So that's why I had to put Chloe up on the S rank as well. Ring FSC, your boy Kevin, the only good Dominion, and B. No, yeah, but that's because I only knew him from Azure. I didn't have anything about it since then. So yeah, that's why. Let's see. The next one we have from Trails in the Sky would be Colonel Richard. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. Richard was also he was a kind of good villain because it kind of was similar to the extent of where Grimwood was initially. Oh, my bad. One second. My bad. Oh, right. What was I saying? Oh, right. About Richard. His was kind of similar to like the situation with Dieter Croy and Grimwood, where they both wanted to do what they thought was the best for their country. Because when we look about how it was for Crossbell, they were always stuck in the feud between Erebonia and Calvard, and practically had almost no power to actually like get themselves out of the picture, or just find a way where it's like those two could fight without Crossbell getting caught in the crossfire. Whereas Richard was kind of the same thing, but it's like the situation hadn't happened to that extent, but it's like that fear of knowing Osborne could one day do something to LaBeurle. Especially with how like things hadn't, everyone else was advancing, but LaBeurle hadn't really gotten to that point because they were being more of like the neutral party and like everything that was going on in Zemuria. He felt like he needed to make a move. And again, that's only just my emphasis on him based on what I've seen from first. But actually seeing him at least get a bit involved in Trails in the Sky second and third did shed light on a few things. Now, don't get me wrong. It does seem kind of similar to what they did with Rufus, with trying to make him like at least a slightly better individual. But I feel like with the whole situation with Rufus and Richard is kind of different because first of all, Richard, now that I've seen it in person, was actually the first one I have to go through this. And second, when you look at the whole thing regarding Richard and Rufus, Richard really didn't feel like he deserved a second chance. He actually felt bad about what happened now that he had the time to look back on everything, see how many people he got involved, how many people's lives he's potentially ruined of his own, like, not only of his fellow countrymen, but to his own soldiers who willingly believed and actually cared about what he was doing. Because that's the thing. In the end, what Richard was doing, for the most part, was for good intention. He actually did try to make Liberl a safer place. He wanted to actually make something better of it. He wanted to make sure they were prepared for the worst case scenario. And yes, I know he did do the whole coup, but it is different from what Rufus had tried to do, because when it came to because Rufus had his self-awareness where it's like he knew what he was doing was wrong, but he still kind of did it anyway, regardless of it. The difference is Rufus was better as a villain since he was megalomaniac. It was clear Richard had good intentions. Rufus was like, oh, what about me? What about what I want? Rufus, which ruined him as a chance character, better as a villain. Yeah, because that is the thing, right? Because again, it's like Rufus, at least he was willing to embrace the fact that it's like he knew he would be a villain. He knew what he was doing wasn't right, but he was gonna go for it anyway. And Richard is different from the fact that it's like he was trying to do good, even if it meant doing bad things, but it's like he actually was initially trying to look at it to make a difference of it. Yeah, and yet they tried to redeem the best villain in David. I know, right? Like, seriously. Like, what was up with that? But yeah. And again, this whole thing with Richard was also highlighted really well in, what's it called? The third game as well. You mean Cold Steel? Oh, right, yeah. True, because let's be honest, Rufus was the best villain in Cold Steel. It wasn't Osborn, obviously, because there was just so many inconsistencies later on. As like, was it Osborn? Was it the previous King Soul or whatever? Or make up your mind, will you? And kept trying to make it like, was he really good? Was he really bad? It's like, make up your mind. Either he's a villain or he's a good guy who's forced to do bad. Figure it out. But it's like they didn't really have that. It was pretty lackluster by that point. But yeah. But in any case, like I was saying, it's like, the thing is, Richard still decided to, like, he's still helping Liberl, but he's not going to automatically go back to the same position he once had, because, again, otherwise, he wouldn't be paying for the consequences of everything he's done. He'd be put in the same position which started everything, and he wouldn't feel right about it. Because, again, it's like, he still involved a lot of the personnel who actually believed in the words he was saying, his hopes for the future of Liberl. He brought them all down, and that confrontation with one of the soldiers who potentially could have gotten something better if their plan had worked, or if they weren't involved with Richard directly but still had done the job that they were supposed to, was really good to see, because it's like, even Richard doesn't know if what he's doing it will give him the answers he wants. Even he doesn't know if it'll make up for everything that he's done. But at the very least, like I said, he's someone who had good intentions, who did something wrong, and he was aware of it, and he is actually trying to make up for it in the many different ways that he's trying to. Yeah. Osborn Reincarnation, which only existed to justify the Steel Mania's antagonist, ruined Osborn. No, I really did, because aside from that, he would have just been a villain who literally pushed anyone out of his way, eliminated anyone who seemed like a problem later, all for the sake of having his perfect rule. Which is like, that would have been something I would like to have kept there. But anyway, regarding Richard, I'll move him to A rank. He's not S rank, obviously, because like I said, Weissman will always be it. But I think for Richard, because again, this is still from the start, and again, this is just from the start of The Legend of Heroes, I think Richard does at least kind of stand out as a type of a neutral force after everything that he's been through. We've also Hot Tank, the whole Rufus gang feels like a cheap knockout for the Bright family. You know, now that I think about it, it does actually kind of feel that way, because you have, you would have Sven as Joshua, you'd have Nadia as, would you say Nadia would be like Estelle or Ren? I feel like Nadia would be like the Ren of the group. And kind of Estelle like Lapis. I guess. I don't know. Alright. So yeah. That's for my points on Richard now. Next for Mueller. I definitely probably still leave him at B. Because again, he still did make a good impact. Even though he was still someone for... still a soldier for Erebonia. He still cared more about what did Olivia think, because it was him that he was assigned to, and Mueller actually did show it as like he always was willing to stay by Olivier's side throughout the whole ordeal, especially when we traveled to the Liber Arc. He was there with us. I got to have him on the team. And again, since it's not too much that like veers from what we've already seen Mila do and such, I'll probably leave him just in the same area just because, again, he didn't have an impact. Not as big of an impact as a lot of the other characters, but at least to the point where it's like, he's still present in the story. Okay, next up, we got Tita. Tita Russell. Wait first. Mia Cassius being the accomplished legend, in his case, infamous individual with withdrawn boys written. God damn it, these stupid ads. Or as Joshua, the angelic girl Nadia as Estelle, and the wunderkid Lapis as Ren. That's or yeah, okay. Yeah, actually, yeah, I could see that more then. Cause yeah, it's the energetic girl. Yeah, I could see Nadia being that. But I was thinking like, kind of like the genius who like also part of like assassin group and such. I would just say that was kind of more like similar to Ren, but yeah. Hence, which makes me like Ren Nadia. Yeah. But anyway, like I was saying, in regards to Tita, I would definitely move her up more on the list now. Would I put her in A rank? Now, you know what? I actually will move Tita to A rank, now that I think about it. And my reason for doing this is because now she definitely has more of a not only by the fact that she has more of a presence in Sky, but now finally coming to terms with how this little girl here ended up getting involved with such a whole big thing going on. Like, don't get me wrong, with the whole feed thing of being a mercenary and everything, that's one thing, but it's like, that's kind of like a cop-out to like the whole situation of just adding someone young like that. Like, at least with Tio, there was a much bigger and greater reasoning for her presence at the time, especially with how young she was compared to the rest of the group. But Tita's was also kind of a unique kind of twist on it, because it's different from like just being an experiment, because Tita literally was just an ordinary girl from an engineering family who ended up becoming a part of this big conspiracy, or getting involved in this whole big conspiracy with the gospel and the intelligence division, well, with her grandfather getting kidnapped and everything, and then her actually trying to make a stand for herself, then actually seeing how much of her relationship with Ren was really defined here as well. Some of that's like she could kind of relate to, because they both were pretty talented, they were both young, but again, they're two completely different individuals who led completely different lives. But at the same time, Tita, even though she is you can see it's like Tita the light of Ren is the dark, doesn't decide to like automatically reject it. And even seeing like how now it's like, now we understand like how does she end up going to Erebonia, how she ended up starting to take up like the orbital gear research. It now paints a clearer picture as to what her goals were in the long term for this as well, especially since after Trails in the Sky, she hadn't made an appearance long after that. So yeah, that's why I would say Tita, with all of that, definitely moves up to A rank. Yeah, if Lecter gets screwed over Arin, get screwed over Zin. Nah, facts. Alright, next we gotta move over to Zin. Zin, I would probably leave him at B, honestly. But I kind of have a problem with Zin right now, because, look, in B, it's like he was supposed to be the grown-up, but he didn't really impact the group that much. Like, he wasn't as much of like a guiding light for them, or like just like one of the overpowered guys who they could like have complete confidence in. But the problem is, now that I've gone through Daybreak, they really lowballed Zin very hard. Like, seriously, it was bad. Yeah, Daybreak hurt Zin given how Brassica screwed over her. No, exactly, because that's the thing. It's like, at least Zin was involved with a lot of the situation in the Burl, unlike how the braces are nowadays in Daybreak, where they barely have any existence whatsoever. Because at least here, it's like, even though it wasn't his home country, he still actively took part in trying to keep Liberl safe and stopping Ouroboros. Yeah, when Ouroboros, the Almada, and even the Red Grendel got involved, he barely took part in it at all. And again, that's his home country in Calvard. It's like, why? Then why are you even here then? Yeah, plus you had Walter. Oh, this guy's good. No, yeah, that is true. So I would have to leave Zin at a B, but I probably would put him lower in B. Because again, I can't discredit everything he's been a part of in Sky, but at the same time, it's like, when it came to Daybreak, they just really done him bad. Which really sucks for me. It really does. Alright, so next, we got Louvet. Ooh. Louvet's a tough one to actually think about. Because the thing is, I want to put him in S rank, but I can't really say he's so much as like a villain. But it's like, do I want to judge Louvet based on like the context of like him as a villain? Or would I rather just focus on like him as the individual himself? If you ever imagine what things would have been like if we had Agnes and Rins, yeah, definitely would have taken a different turn. And again, it's like, they've done the female protagonist thing before with literally Estelle, the greatest protagonist of all the trails right now, so why? There's a reason why the word antagonist exists. Yeah, that's true. Shit. I think for Louvet... Louvet I'm gonna put at A. And my reason for putting him at A is because, again, this seems kind of similar, and again, this is only kind of, and this is just only from my overall knowledge of trails. His situation does somewhat reflect that of Crow's, in that the fact that they were both just people just trying to live their normal life, and yet a much bigger situation had completely demolished everything that they lived and stood for. With Crow, it was about his uncle, if I remember correctly, and then being opposed to what Osborn was trying to do, and then Crow had lost everything by that point. But Louvet's is definitely in a much darker terrain. His grandfather is only fan. Oh, right, it was his grandfather. Louvet was definitely a much more horrific situation in regards to Hamill. Now finally knowing the full truth of everything that had happened. Because again, it's like, I already knew about what happened there with, what's it called? I know everything that already happened in Hamill, but now getting more of the details from the perspective of the ones who were actually directly affected, aside from Ash, really does help understand where Louvet was kind of coming from, because all he had seen at that point was the dark side of humanity, how far they were willing to go for their own selfish ambitions. Because Erebonia wanted to create the excuse as to attacking other nations by targeting Hamill. But also, it's not like he automatically had complete revenge for Erebonia and such, because, I mean, to be fair, he hadn't known the full story immediately until much later on, at least from what I gather, because I'm pretty sure Viceby had told him later at some point. But also, it was still more just so that Louvet had started losing hope in humanity. And it's like, you can understand what you see as human struggles, and were what brought about that whole tragedy. Especially for people who weren't even involved in it. It'd be one thing if it was the capital of Erebonia was hurt, or at least one of their closest cities, but it's they literally sacrificed the outskirts of Erebonia for this. Kind of reminds you of the situation regarding the Uchihas and everything. It kind of makes you think that Louvet is kind of like an Itachi in some way. Not in the entirety, but it's you can kind of see it. At least I would think so. At least that's how I view it anyway. Yeah, I just love how, even then, it's Louvet was willing to give his life, at least to protect Joshua, because that was still everything for him. That part has never changed. Whether it be from back then, or even when he took his final breath. So yeah, Louvet would definitely be A rank for me. Alright, so next, we gotta go to our boy Kevin. Kevin Graham. A real Dominion who actually does stuff. I mean, come on. I think it's pretty obvious where we put Kevin. Kevin's going in the S rank. Because, I mean, dude, everything that we've seen of him, again, similar situation to Joshua, but different about how they went about it. Yeah, don't know how I feel about Joshua and Louvet being compared to Naruto. Nah, I mean, that's fair. That's fair. I can understand why that comparison isn't the best one. But I'm just saying, like, at least Luffy's specific character does at least somewhat remind me of Itachi. But again, I'm not saying it's all exactly the same. I'm not gonna say Joshua's like Sasuke, because that's just too many contradictions and all that. It's like Joshua's at least was way more straightforward in that situation. But yeah, anyway, that's aside from that. But yeah, Kevin Graham, the only real Dominion who actually did stuff when it needed to be done. Like, getting involved directly with the situation with Weissman, especially with his job as the heretic hunter. And also seeing that it's like initially he was actually playing the fool so then he could trick both his friends and his enemies to get to his goal of being Weissman. And then getting the whole story about everything about him. Yeah, Joshua also wants my little prick. Yeah. I guess you could say that. But yeah, Kevin Graham, another amazingly done character. Like, shit. He was someone who actually wanted to be punished for what he did. So, it's kind of similar to what Richard was, but it's like Kevin, he had been searching for that for so long. Some kind of, like, conclusion to everything. Now learning of why exactly he kind of, he had that second nature to himself. Especially when he went to eliminate Weissman. Now gives me, like, it gave me chills at times. And it's like, now it's understandable, since now we know exactly how he ended up with the title Heretic Hunter, why he can act jaded like that at times. But yeah, Kevin is also the anti-hero Daybreak Wish fan. Exactly! Because he's a problem solver who's willing to do things people don't want to get the job done. Like, he was willing to lie to everybody to get the Weissman. He was willing to do whatever it took to get the answers he needed. And again, it's like, he still hated what he did, but it's like, he knew that someone had to do the dirty deed in order to protect the greater whole. That's something that Van could definitely learn from him. Yep, I'd say the more damning part was when... Oh, yeah, because... especially the confrontation with all the people Kevin had killed in his quest as the heretic hunter when we were in Gehenna, that really showed, like, that's how much Kevin was willing to go to eliminate evil. Like, it didn't matter who it was or what kind of curse it was. It's just, he knew that it was better to at least not let this, like, stay for too long and, like, snowball into something much worse. Again, doesn't automatically give him the complete right to do so. But still, understanding what he's supposed to be doing as a Dominion, as an individual, as someone who has gone through all that loss, what he should be doing. And then his conclusion with him and Rias and Rufina is really good to see. I'm going to be interested to see if he, like, has only one stigmata, or if he's going to have full control of his dark stigma. I said stigmata, and it's like stigma. His dark stigma when we get to Horizon. Because I imagine by that point, it's like, he's fully mastered it, considering how long it's been since then. Because again, that whole thing where it's like, that was the peak of where darkness had filled his heart too, really goes into that conflict of the inner, like, fighting your inner demons. That really felt more concrete onto that subject than if you were to try to say that with Joshua or anyone else. Because it really was just a struggle that it's like, if left unchecked, would definitely come back to haunt the world one day. And definitely feels much better as, like, this fight against his inner demon, way better than they tried doing with Van, even when he had an actual demon in his body. It's like, that was still shit compared to what they did with Kevin. Kevin's was amazing, by far. So yeah, definitely have Kevin at the S-Rank. Now for the man, the myth, the legend himself, the strongest man alive, Cassius Bright. Whew. I gotta say, I wish he got more involved. I really do, because, dude, if the boss fight against him has told me anything, this dude is him. He is him. Like, Cassius' presence is one thing, like, with the fact that it's like Osborn was, like, nervous and he had to always know where Cassius was at all times in order to, like, do specific things. It's another thing when you actually see him in action and kick ass. Like, that boss fight already gave me, like, chills. Like, when I first went up against him, I was like, oh, I know this ain't gonna be easy with all the hype he had. And it really wasn't. Like, his speed, his attack, his move set, it was all just his. It was just, it's something else, man. It's like true strength, the true capabilities of the heights that humanity can reach on their own, without any like magic powers, without any cheat skills, without any bullshit. He is the height that humanity can reach on hard work and skill, all on his own. Because again, you could say he had trained for Yukon 5, but it's like, dude, even with that, it's like, he still became his own kind of powerhouse. He didn't automatically use the same skills like Richard or Annalise or Reen or Arios or anything like that. He made his own skills with his staff and still kicked my ass over and over and over again. So I definitely got to put Cassius up in A. I would love to put him in S rank. I really would. But at the same time, it's just we hadn't gone over too much about his past. Like, I wish we had gone over a bit more as to like his military days, like when he started out and then when he got the training, to the point where it's like when he lost Estelle's mother. I would have liked to have at least seen a bit more of that in context to actually gauge more of him as an individual rather than just him as like the ultimate warrior. But yeah, if anyone deserves the title as the strongest man alive in the entirety of the Trail series, it definitely has to be Cassius Bright. No question, and no one can change my mind otherwise. At least for now, you never know. Maybe in the future, but it's like, right now. Because he also fought me by himself, and he was scary like that. Yeah, he's at least lives up to his power as he's shown being a threat in battle. Like destroying giant robots with a single strike, or political. Exactly, it's like, he is him, in the full essence of it. Like, no matter what, he will always make an impact. Whether it just be his presence, him just walking down the street, or him in actual battle. He's just on another level. He's built different. That's all I can say about Cassius. Now for Agate. I definitely put Agate higher on B. Oh wait, no. Actually, I'll probably put him in A too, because again, it's like, at least now we also understand like more about like his relationship, kind of like with Tito, what it kind of seems similar to with when he lost his sister back then, and also seeing Agate being another bracer who actually tried to get things done. They didn't do that great of a stuff with him on. Agate got screwed by the whole Tito stuff. Yeah, that's true. With the whole thing of like trying to make them a couple thing, it did. They really do that a bit too much. Like, don't get me wrong, the whole teasing can be one thing. And then them trying to imply it even from, like, with the parents' perspective, that definitely seemed weird. So maybe not A. But I would definitely put him higher in B tier. Because, again, like Zin, he was a bracer in the Burl who actually tried to solve the problem at hand. Who didn't just sit back, relax, and hope everything went away. Who didn't think, oh, someone else can handle the job. Even though he knew he didn't have, like, the brains or he wasn't as OP as Cassius, he still knew he had to get the job done. So I definitely put... I'll put him next to Zin, just because, again, I feel like it's kind of similar in that aspect where... they both just got screwed over later on, and there were some inconsistencies with them regarding their relationships with other people and stuff, like with Zin with Kilika, and then Agate with Tita. That's like, some of that context may be better without, for them specifically. So I would definitely do that. Yeah, the only good couples, Reen x Emma, Stella x Joshua, Karen x Reen. Oh yeah, it's defined relationships. Yeah, I'd say that's fair. Alright, so now that we've got that out of the way, let's see from C tier. Okay. For Blue Blanc... I mean, to be fair, it didn't really put too much on him, really. I mean, I guess it just defined more about, like, what he views as beauty. It's just showing that he was way more of a trickster in the whole situation when it came to Liberl compared to his actions in Crossbell and Erebonia. So I'd put him low B, but I wouldn't put him any higher than that. Because again, it's not like he was that impactful, but it's like he definitely had more of the spotlight and more of those moments compared to some other characters. Or I mean, a good number of the characters here on the C rank. Yeah, Gilbert should be higher because that's how you do comic relief. Nah, yeah, I'll get to that. But yeah, Blue Blanc, again, it's like, his presence isn't minimal, but it's not as crazy as like some of the other people who stood out more. So now, because again, Blue Blanc hasn't really changed that much, Gilbert, I gotta put Gilbert in A. I'm sorry. Look, I know, there would definitely be people who were like, what the fuck, you put Gilbert up in A rank? But dude, it's like when you have said, you can't do comic relief villain better than that. Like, he was literally a walking joke through and through. And it was consistent with like how the situation would escalate as well, to how much of a joke he was. And just always being there to like give the laughs. Because it's like, you know how it's like whenever it's a serious story, there's gotta at least be some things that can like mellow out a situation or can like lower the tension of everything. And I think Gilbert did a great job of that, even though it's not necessarily for that purpose. But just him coming off as that kind of like gag character, it's like, it was just always funny whenever you'd see him there. I'm not gonna say he's like OP or anything like that. I'm not gonna say he's like the guy or anything, but still, if Weissman is the Kefka, Gilbert is the Team Rocket of Trilogy. Yes, that is the perfect example. Also, rip Team Rocket. I heard about the passing of Meowth's VA. Rip in the chat. Team Rocket has blasted off for the last time. It's crazy. But yeah, that is a perfect comparison. Gilbert is definitely like the Team Rocket of the Trails series. Like, he was funny. He always just blasted off again after everything had been said and done. Yeah, Meowth and James W. Oh, okay, yeah, I forgot James was too. Yeah. But yeah, Gilbert's definitely going to A. Definitely is. But yeah. Not only from like his stuff when he was pretending to be the mayor's attendant and stuff like that, but also just when he was himself too. It's like, it was just really funny, those moments. Whether it was just me laughing internally or it's like it actually was like when he was on the screen. It's like, you never know. Maybe he will get more screen time again someday. Yeah, crazy fact, Randy's JP VA is James's. JP is known as Kochiro. Really? I did not know that. That is actually very interesting. Alright, so next we have Shara. I definitely move Shara to B. And the reason I'm only moving her to B is because, again, she only had the everything where it's like she was her whole relationship with Luciola. Don't get me wrong, it's like she is a alright big sister figure to Estelle and Joshua, but her whole thing with Lucy at least kind of showed what she had been through, and again paints a different picture from like what we learned about that one crazy chick from Daybreak. We tried to be like, oh, what about my happy ending? Look at Sherazade, who went from nothing to marrying the prince of Erebonia and stuff like that. But it's like, now we've seen exactly the hard times Sherazade has been through. Then from the transition from that to with the troop with Luciola and the troop leader, and then after that to when she became a bracer. It really did help clear up a few things about how she ended up being a bracer despite all the time she tends to relax and stuff, and even when she kept silent about her past. So at least it did create more of that depth for her. And again, will she ever get that conclusion with Luciola? Who knows, but all we can do is hope, right? I mean, to be fair, I think I remember in a Connect event, she got like a message from Luciola congratulating them on their marriage, I think, right? If I'm remembering correctly. But that's about it. Yeah, Lisman? Because you're jealous of a woman you don't know having a better life than you just because You both were the same race. Totally likable motivation, Viola. Exactly. Like, Sherazade at least tried to make the best of the situation, whereas Viola was just like, she just couldn't give a damn. She just thought the world was totally unfair to her, and not making any attempt at trying to find the good in it. Alright, next we have, Old Man Russell. I probably would also move him to the B rank as well, just because, or, I don't know, because again, he did seem more like kind of like a plot device for like keeping things going. He's better than Gwen? Nah, you're right. He is better than Gwen. That is a very good point. Because when it came to the stuff with like engineering, Russell was more than up for like taking on the challenge and actually trying to come up to Ouroboros. Yeah, I don't like the term plot device to describe a character. I mean, that's fair. True, because like that isn't like the best way to like describe someone. And true, like at least at moments we had the grandfather actually do. Characters are supposed to drive the story. Nah, yeah, I agree with that. At least he was kind of like the side of us where it's like we needed to catch up with Ouroboros technologically, especially considering the engineering that Ouroboros had displayed, what with the 13 factories and Lavardis and everything, was definitely like way too high of a hurdle for any of the regular cast to be able to handle alone. Again, at least he actually acts like a normal grandfather who's actually trying to support his Tita and just trying to help the country that he's lived in, so I definitely put him in B. Now for Annalise, if outside Erica, the Russells are basically if the Ryfords were more likable, though Iona is the only one who did things that made sense. Yeah, that's the truth. Alright, let's see. For Annalise, the problem is, like, I get that she's supposed to be kind of like, at least Estelle's comrade in arms when it came to the stuff in Trez and the Sky Second, but she wasn't nearly as present enough for me to be like, oh yeah, she's there as much as like Agate or Tita. But seeing how she's kind of taking her turn and not like automatically copying Yunka Vi and stuff, and actually seeing that she didn't know her way with the sword where it would automatically go to, and then having to confront Richard in that, again, did at least fill in a bit more for her, but I wouldn't say it automatically changes that. Yeah, I'm shocked they didn't bring Annalise back for Calvin. Honestly, especially as supposedly Yunka Vi is supposed to be coming back, right? For Horizon? So it's like, it would make even more sense for Annalise to be back there as well. Especially since they already have had bracers from other countries travel to other places. They've had Estelle and Joshua head to Crossbell, Erebonia so many times. Ren already heading to over there. Fee heading to Calvard, and then Zin to was initially had gone to Liberal and now back in Calvard. It's just we didn't even go about that route. But yeah, I'd probably put Annalise at least higher C, but I wouldn't be able to say with full comfort that I could make her B rank. I'd probably say top 3 of C, in my opinion. But that's about as most as I can go with this. Alright, now let's see. The guild branch leader over in Granzel, he'd probably be C as well, because again, didn't have as much of a change here as compared to before. Because I mean, he's just a guild branch leader, what can you do? Kilika. I kind of have a conflicting thing with Kilika, because I mean, at least now we understood why she had left Calvard initially. And I mean, isn't it amazing how much old games make you hate the new games? It actually is surprising that I'm having these kinds of thoughts like that now, given everything else. Anyway, like I was saying, it is hard for me to think about how I should rank Kilika because, again, now understanding why she ran away from a Calvard and stuff and then ended up in Liberl, I'm glad that was finally elaborated on in third. But again, the problem is just they didn't do her justice in Daybreak at all. Again, because it's her hometown. The whole point was for her to provide better security once she heads back to Calvard, with her Taito skills. It's like they didn't do that. Like they really did. It's like they did that for a fucking joke. Especially with all that like hope that Kilika had to being able to make a difference this time around in Calvary compared to how it was before. Which what really sucks. Because even when I fought her in Calvert, like, we didn't actually get to fight her face to face. She was fucking off the field. Like, those tanks and, flying choppers and stuff just shooting at us. It's like, really? Because, I mean, come on. She had that epic dragon, S-Brink, move. When she attacked us when it was her like, clone made in, Phantasma. Which is what really sucks, because it's like, that they probably would have made it epic if they had used the kind of visuals they used in Daybreak for her. It just really sucks that they didn't really get to apply that when it's like, she's one of the characters they should have done it for, considering she's Calvert Ombre. Like, really? But I would definitely say she's better than a number of these characters, so I'd probably put her... I wouldn't say automatically top 3 of C, but she would definitely be higher in C, but I just can't for the life of me get her any higher than the C grade, so probably will put... I'll put her top 5. I'll put her top 5. I feel like that's the best I can give for Kilika, because like I said, it's just like they could have done stuff for her in there, but they just failed at the execution, like spectacularly. They failed at that bad. Tita's mother, yeah, I'm gonna have to put her lower in the C. Maybe I'll put her at the end of C, actually, because, again, it's like, that's the thing, it's like, it's different from, like, when the parents were there because they were busy, like, at least with Elisa, she was, or not Elisa, but, for Elisa's mom, she was the head of the freaking company. She couldn't be anywhere else. That was her job. But with Tita's mom, she just always kept, like, traveling around where it's like... And then she's, like, all worried about, like, what happened with Tita when it's like, if it really was, you could have just been there from the start, or at least returned immediately and try to help with the situation. And then the whole thing where Agate, it's like, you're the one implying this. Agate hasn't literally done anything to make anyone think that. Treats her like a little sister? Sure, but nothing like a romantic possibility. Like, come on. There's no need for it. If I blame Van for so many older Calvert characters getting nothing, if we had Renazali, we could have explored more. And given she'd know the braces and Ouroboros people. Exactly, because she has way more of a connection from that compared to Van. And more like solidly explained, because again, from her time of being in Ouroboros, and from her connections to the Bracers being Estelle and Joshua. It's way more plausible there compared to trying to do with Van, who we know nothing about, and they try to jam it all in one game. Yeah, Tita's also... Erica's also an obnoxious helicopter parent who acted for being around Tita while simultaneously forcing her to beat... Exactly. Yeah, so I would just put her lower in C. I could put her in D, but we definitely had worse characters. So, that's where I would put it. Let's see. Amalthea... I would definitely put Amalthea a bit higher now. Because again, it's like, she really did at least care about Richard, and she did try to, like, show that she fully believed in him, regardless of what the rest of the world had been saying about him. So, I would at least get her a bit higher. You know what? I'll actually put her in C rank. Why not? Again, she wasn't, like, a huge antagonist or anything like that, but again, just, like, one of those things where it's like, we had to kind of close the whole book on that for good. With that whole mindset of, like, blindly following Richard. Yeah, or say it's yeah, I could definitely see it. Like I said, I'll get to that once I finish all this other stuff. Damn, okay, it's already only been an hour, and I've only done, like, the cast that was already on the list. I'll put Amalthea at least better than Gwen. I can at least do that. Oh, right, I forgot. How can I forget? Colonel Sid. Fuck. How did I actually forget that? Okay, I'm gonna put Sid in B. Because he also had a glow up, at least, when it came to the other game. Unfortunately, I didn't really get to fight him until Jazz in the Sky 3rd, when we infiltrated the fortress. But still, he was growing into the shoes of a leader that he was supposed to be after the events of the first chapter. Like, actually granting us access to military bases and everything, actually supporting us, believing it still what should really be right, and filling in for where Richard was supposed to be for Cassius after he had left. So seeing at least Richard step up to the plate gives me a much greater opinion of him. It's not like he had nothing going for him, but it's like it just wasn't much to contextualize for him, but Sid definitely had gone better. Alright, now, let's see. Okay, so let's start from... I'll try thinking about the more significant characters from this list first and then make my way down. Okay, so the next one I would do would be... Alright, let's start with Gisette. I think that will at least be a good start. Now, thinking about Gisette, now that we've actually gotten the whole story about what happened with the Capua family and everything, I do feel at least a bit more comfortable in saying that it's like she definitely has a more interesting story to her. It's not like they were completely out for revenge, but they were at least looking just for the means of survival, especially in the kind of cruel world that they were kind of like forced into. Of course, nothing as like terribly bad as like what Randy Evers had gone to, but so to the extent that it's like they couldn't really trust anyone but themselves and their own little crew that they had. And seeing Gisette actually open up to someone else like Joshua after like getting involved with him and then teaming up with him as well along with her brothers for it, it definitely helped improve my my point of view for her. Now as to where I would put her for that, because also her thing with like having a thing for Joshua and then hitting Estelle was kind of funny at times too. Obviously not to the extent of comic relief like Gilbert here, but at least somewhat to the extent where it's like she was still someone to like actually become a part of Joshua's life. So I would definitely put her in... I guess I can actually say she goes into B. My bad, I just need to do this to scroll up to here. But yeah, I would put Gisette in B. It's because of how more direct a role she had. Julia, the problem is we hadn't really had as much for Julia, like story-wise, for like building her up, unfortunately. And that's the thing, is like she's supposed to be the captain of the Royal Guards now, because formerly it was Philip. But it's like we still hadn't seen like Julia really like take the reins or show that that's what she's made of and everything. Like, don't get me wrong, I still loved using her in the game. She was a very good character to use, but was not as fleshed out as a lot of the other like supporting casts, as especially given her significance in the whole grand scheme of Liberl. So I would probably have to put her... I don't know if putting her at low B or high C is the right call. Because again, it's like, at least she is kind of there. It's supporting us, but it's not like she's been like that much of an impactful character. I guess I'll put her at B as well. But like I said, I'll organize specifically where they rank later on. You want help on some point of characters, Rias and Walter, to bomb at the undecided. Oh, okay. Oh yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I forgot about that. How could I forget about that? I'm so stupid. Yeah, and I guess technically Lucille, I guess, but yeah. All right. So yeah, now with that out of the way, thank you for assistance, Ria. Let's go to Rias, dude. Okay, Rias is kind of an interesting take because it's not like she's not a damsel in distress, but I definitely can't say that it's like she's the level of Estelle worthy like female main character. However, seeing how much more she cared about like being with Kevin and everything, even if it meant like having to bear the same burden that he's been holding all this time, it was really good to see, because it's like even in the end when every attempt Kevin had made to push her away, she had still hung on, similar to the situation with Estelle and Joshua. However, it isn't exactly the same when you consider the fact that it's like Rias really knew nothing about it. It's like this whole time she couldn't have even had a clue about it. Not because she was lazy about it, but it's also just the fact that it's like, how would she have reacted in the moment if she had learned that truth back then as opposed to now? That's kind of why I'm kind of like on the fence about that. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's like she was still a nice character to have, but at the same time, I can't really say it was to the same extent as like a lot of other characters though. But again, it's like she is supposed to be the hope for Kevin, right? To not be dragged into the same kind of conspiracy and madness that exists in reality that him and Rufina were kind of exposed to. And actually seeing her finally be able to come to terms with Rufina's death, with what Kevin had done at that moment, then saying that she'll be there to be that support for him. Still very good. But yeah, it's not the same as Emma or Estelle who risked their lives with the Helen Beck, Marie and Joshua. True. That is true because she did go to Gehenna with him. Or, no, if anything, she decided to go to Gehenna in his place. Shit. That is very true. I should have thought about that. Okay. I feel like at the very least I could put her in A rank. Because my problem is like if I can put her in S rank. That's my only concern. Because like obviously it's like she's way more bigger than like a lot of characters at B. But I don't know if it's like, could I put her at S rank with them or not? I guess I can come back to that and then think more on that subject later. Because I guess I also have to base it on like comparing to like the S ranks as well. I'm trying to think like just based on like, but I'm first thinking about them like just themselves, not so much as like them also. Well, then again, I guess I am also kind of comparing a lot of these characters to others, so I guess I am contradicting myself there. Okay, I'll put her at A for now. I'll see if maybe I move her to S, but yeah. Alright, now for Walter. Yeah, it's like, what can we say? They did Walter dirty, man. In Daybreak. I need to emphasize that. Because again, this dude he was just all about pursuing like the art to kill, and then just trying to put like this whole like trying to make him good or whatever, when it's like he's just trying to have a battle to the death that he can enjoy. And trying to get the whole reason for like his rivalry with Zin being that Kilika was the one who stands between them. And also just him always like helping out Van and them, where it's like, is that even necessary? It's like, does that even benefit Ouroboros anyways? It's just so wishy-washy with that. Yeah, if Howard, Class 7 Girl, only Emma, Althea, and Millie made the cut, would that being proactive, helpful, and having good conflicts makes greatness? Yeah. Hold on, let me fix it. Yeah, sure. I'm trying to figure out where I could put Walter. I guess I can also put him at B. Because again, it at least is more fleshed out than what with Kilika. It's really funny and telling how with Class 7 Girls only... Okay. Oh, okay, gotcha. But yeah, I'll put Walter at B. Okay, as to where I would put him later on, I don't know. Now, Luciola... I don't know. It's like, at the start, I was kind of getting intrigued by the mystery and such that she had, but I'll be honest, I'm still kind of conflicted with the whole thing about her killing the troop leader. You know, he was going to disband a group. But it's like, he was still kind of looking out for them necessarily, right? At least if my memory's correct on the whole situation. But it's like, what was the reason that she had killed him as such? Was it just like at the moment when emotions were high and such? I just couldn't really make like a good understanding of what the reason was. Because don't get me wrong, I understand that she was supposed to be like, she was the support for Shara, when it's like she still didn't have any direction of where she was supposed to go after escaping the slums where she was from. But still, it's like, if I'm remembering Luciola's thing from back then, I just don't see why she had to go to those same lengths. Not as bad as Viola, but at the same time, it's like, still doesn't really help her case, because, again, you know how, like, they try to justify the bad guys to some ways and extent, but it's like, Luciola is like, it's really kind of hard to tell, it's like, are they trying to or not? Especially, like, she's trying to act like she's, like, this kind of big, tough villain if it's, like, supposedly an accident, or just, like, in the heat of the moment kind of kill, you know? So, it's kind of hard for me to actually elaborate further on that, unless I was to get even more details about that, but I doubt we'd ever have that again, so I'll probably put her... Could I put her C? Or should I put her D? That is the question. I guess I don't know. I guess D, unfortunately. Just because, again, it's like, she did not really have that much for, like... There wasn't too much of, like, a neutrality to the point where it's like, I can't understand whether she's, like, actually evil, or whether she's actually good, or she's, like, neutral evil, that kind of stuff. It's just kind of, like, a bit wishy-washy there, so it's... I'm just have to put her there for now, in my opinion. The thing is, a lot of these characters don't really get as much involved, so it's like, I can't really say for sure what I would be able to put them as, but I guess I'll try my best to. Okay. Let's start with, Ida, right? Well, Ida at least grew up on me a bit, or grew on me a bit more, after that, whole story with her and Shara. Because I was like, she did always feel like, I don't know, maybe she actually was kind of like a noble or something like that. But it's like, now actually seeing that whole story and how she acted like that, I could definitely give her a bit more props. So I would definitely say she can at least go to the C rank. Because at first, I would just only remember her as like, oh, hey, she's the guildmaster or the guild branch leader over in the first place where we saw in the first game. That was all I really thought about. But it's like, now actually getting to like, see her, she actually has a side to her story. She isn't just so one-dimensional, it's just background NPC. Alright, this is supposed to be Anton, right? The guy who just hits on like every woman and then just like has one girl from like every city that he has feelings for at that time. He's not the same level as comic relief as Gilbert. I'd probably put him in D rank. It's not F because it's not too bad, but at the same time it's like it doesn't really go into anything more aside from that. So that is the complete understanding of one-dimensional. Who is this chick again? I don't remember. Whatever. If I don't remember a character for some particular reason, I'll just leave them here on the undecided, if I can't remember. Okay, now for the AI version of Celeste von Auslese, the founder. Again, to be fair, this is the AI version, but now actually understanding or I guess I'll just focus on her as the entirety of Celeste von Auslese from what we know, because it's not like we ever meet the real her. But it's like, we at least do know of like how she ruled in the past, or the decisions she did make, and how that affected Liberl today. So at least she was someone who planned ahead and wanted to at least make sure the Liberl arc wouldn't be in the wrong hands anytime soon, even going so far as to have the Tetric Towers put up and all the seals. So at least she was a leader actually looking out for her country as a whole by this point, so I guess I could put her a C as well. That's probably the best I could do. Again, considering most of this is just what we hear of her and not actually her herself. The doc over there, always just whining about what Russell's doing, but I mean, to be fair, he is still supportive of like when Tito needs to do something or just helping out the gang. So again, I guess I could also put him C. It's not like D where it's like they practically do like nothing. Now as for the kids, that's actually going to be kind of different because I'll probably just focus on all of the young ones from the orphanage in one go, just because like there wouldn't be any other way to like separate them. Yeah, so this is all of them. Oh, okay. And of course the matron. Okay, I forget. Yep, I can't wait to see the tirade for some of the later characters. Oh, right, yeah, I do have to do it for the later ones, too. Forgot about that. This was the main one of the kids for the orphanage, right? I don't remember what his name was, but at least seeing that even when he tries to like act like he doesn't care or anything, he actually does care about the orphanage as a whole. Oh, yep. Oh, there's two at the bottom, or I think the two from that bakery and Crossbow. Oh, I see. And Crossbow. Oh, yes. I remember, because this guy, he knew Lloyd from back then, like in their childhood, right? And he ran that bakery. Like, yeah, okay. Yeah, and this was the sister. Yeah, okay. Fortunately, I don't really know anything about them, so I guess I would put them in D, just because, like, I don't know anything about them aside from that. Let's get that out of the way. Yeah, I'd at least kind of put him in favorable C. Everyone else would probably just be at the bottom of D, because it wasn't anything too much. Well, at least I guess this one with the Twin Toes would also go up a bit more higher than the other two. Just because she did have that little adventure. Yeah, I know this is a spoiler question, but would Arcade and her dad be getting a much lower ranking with what we know about the Vanders now? Oh yeah, you better believe they will. But again, I just need to figure out where I'm going to do all these other people first before I move to that part. Okay. Matron Teresa, yeah, I guess I'll put her a bit more higher. Because again, she is the one who raised Chloe partially. And what with her husband passing and everything, and still caring for the kids through thick and thin out of all of it. School professor. Or, not the professor, but the chairman. Again, not really much to put, so I would put him in D rank, unfortunately, just because there was nothing else to him. Now for the older brother of the Capworth siblings. So if I remember correctly, he was the one who accidentally had signed on a deal that was supposed, in his eyes, supposed to help them, but instead just lost them their home. And like their territory and their estate, which later became the branch campus of Thor's Academy, right? Still, at least trying to see him kind of like be the one to take the responsibility, especially since he is the older sibling. He should be assuming that responsibility for them. It's like, at least it's something, so I can at least give C at the best. Duke Doonan, I mean, he at least technically had that glow from after the events of Sky Second, and actually trying to make a difference and such, but I wouldn't go so far as to say like that's completely turned around his character, so I'd also put him in D, just because it's like by that point the damage had already been done. It's like he didn't really contribute to much else since then. Next, we have the photographer. Again, I guess she's just supposed to be like the extra little like bit of comic relief and such, so also put in D. Yeah, Doonan is a better version of that bald noble from Cold Steel 3. Oh, okay. Wait, which one was that again? Wait, Cold Steel 3. Damn it, I'm forgetting this shit now. Which one was that again? Trying to see if I can see from the list. Wait, where do I have her? I honestly don't even know. The guy who was originally going to succeed Duke Cayenne, but Muse took the rank as... Oh, yes. Right. Okay, I know who you're talking about. I just don't remember what they look like. Do I even have them on the tier list? I probably do, but I just don't remember. I'm trying to see. Do I actually have them here? I probably do, but I need to look down the list again just to make sure. Cannot anyone be, thank God, at least I think. C. Oh, my bad. God damn it. Let's see. B. Balding guy with the mustache. Gonna have to emphasize that a bit more. I honestly don't even know. Because, yeah, it's like, I'm trying to look from, like, the pictures of the tier list, but it's like, there's so many guys who could be bald or just have a mustache or even potentially both, so it's hard for me to, like, be clear head on that. Let's see. Oh, my bad. So, I mean, I could assume that too, but it's like, I'm still trying to figure out which picture is it. Okay, just at least make sure he's not from, like, B or anywhere like that. Not there. Let me check C just to make sure. Looks like he's not even on there. Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess he's not on here then. Alright, then I guess that's good then. Alright, let's see. Einselnate. Dude, I mean, what am I supposed to make of her? She literally just appears at the end of the game. It's like, is there even anything for me to really talk about? I mean, she's supposed to be Kevin's mentor, but again, it's like, that doesn't really tell me anything now, does it? But I mean, I guess because she hasn't, like, shown that it's like she's failed yet, I guess she is at least higher than Thomas, so I guess I'll put her at D rank. But again, it's like, even if she is supposed to be... Leave it to Dominions, it's not... Yeah. It's like, I can at least say she's better than Thomas, at least so far, because Thomas was there in Erebonia, but he didn't do anything. Ayn at least wasn't there, so she at least has that excuse. Even if she's supposed to be the first Dominion. Alright, now for General Morgan. Again, just supposed to be one of those characters who's like, he doesn't like how the new way of things are and was better back how it was back in the simpler days. Or with the military just doing their own thing and not asking the Bracer for help. Especially when Cassius had left to become a Bracer. Again, at least he did help later on with Stella and everything. Not solely because she was Cassius's daughter. So I guess I can at least also put him in C. Because again, you can still say he did more than what Laura's dad did. Okay, now for him, I'll probably say that he's the same as Karna. Yeah. Just because, again, he didn't really have much presence. Because he was also just one of the ones who was like, they were hypnotized by Viceman and then we had to fight them and everything. So yeah. And now for Chloe's schoolmates, I guess I can at least get them something. Yeah, because for him, he at least also cared about Joshua. Because it's like, he knew something was up with him, but it's like he didn't know how to approach it. And it's like, sometimes it is better not to try to reach reason with some people if it's like you don't really understand what they have been going through to that point. So, at least that kind of judgment is there. I'd say especially because they kind of at least put a bit more into Chloe's story from the door. Put both of them at C at least. That's at least something I can give them, but that's the best I can do. At the head of the maids, nothing really. So again, he's also the one from... It wasn't Bose, right? This is the guild branch leader from Ruan, I think? So yeah, nothing there either. So move him to D. Now for Karen, this is going to be an interesting one. At least I'm pretty sure this is Karen, right? Joshua's older sister. If I had to put her anywhere, I mean, she is kind of the motivation for Joshua and Louve to keep on living, but yeah, read how Kurt. Now they also got nothing in Daybreak. Yeah, that is true. Oh wait, Kurt didn't get... Oh, you mean this one? Wait, was he in Daybreak? I don't even know if he was. I don't know where I could put Karen. Because again, it's like she's supposed to be the motivation, but it's like I can't give anything else for her. But I mean, at the very least, she was like the kind of older sister she was supposed to be, protecting Joshua from the Jaegers. So at least shows that she was a loving sister through and through. So yeah, I guess could put C, just for sentimental sake. Yeah, he wasn't Digweed. That's my point. Calvardian Bracer, who was one of very few people who could cast Arts of Fire. Oh wait, he was Calvardian too. I honestly don't even remember that. But really, even then, stuff. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, yeah, now that I think about it, yeah, he did cast Arts, but he didn't need an Augment. So it's like, that is crazy, because it's like, think of what he could have been capable of, or to help out if, especially considering it's like a lot of these like things with like those Genesis and all that stuff. It's like he could have probably been a help when it came to the elements and stuff. But yeah, for Kurt, I don't know, because again, it's like Kurt just kept getting pushed around a lot in Trails in the Sky as well. Like when he got beat up by Ouroboros and then was sent by a boat to like warn the team that Annalise and the others were still there, and then like he's still supposed to be the experienced bracer, but it's like he still wasn't really as much of a supporting role as like a lot of other characters. I guess I can at least put him high D rank, but it's like I wouldn't say he's F rank. I'd probably say even more than Victor, honestly, by that point. Alright, let's see. Next we have the other brother of them. I'll probably just put him next to him, because aside from that, it's like, he didn't really have... Oh no, actually, I guess I'd say he's kind of the lesser of the trio then. Yeah, I would actually say that, because like he didn't really add much aside from trying to be like the intermediary between Giselle and Joshua, but that was basically it. Estelle's mother, the kind of same situation I had with Karin, so definitely put just her in low C, and that's the best I could do. Okay, now we have the maid of the mayor. Yeah, because Mayor Maybell and what was her name? Lila? What was it, Lillian? I don't remember. But actually seeing their quest in the in Trails in the Sky second, like the fact that it's like she'd gone all the way from another country and then here to serve Mayor Maybell, and then still being the support, and also seeing that whole like little extra side story through the door about like if she was to have a companion and such. That was also at least pretty good of them to at least kind of contextualize them as well. Even though it's like they don't really do much to support, but it's like this extra side story from like other characters to show that it's like there still is a presence there besides Liberl. It's not only the braces that live there, you know? So I could definitely go with probably C as well, because again, not contributed to the main plot, but at least extra. Wait, shit. Oh, my bad. Sorry, my mouse isn't at the best condition right now, so not doing the best at dragging. Yeah, also the two at the bottom, they are Calvardian. Ginger is an ancient. The blonde girl, I think, was friends with Chloe, and like, yeah, I remember. Okay, yeah, let's actually get that out of the way now. Yeah, because I remember she was the vice president, or no, she was one of the people in the student council in the at the Genesis Royal Academy, and if I remember, she's supposed to be from Remiferia, right? If I'm remembering correctly, because I do remember a bit of that, like little extra side story in the Reverie with Chloe, her, and Lecter. But yeah, I just can't really say much else about her, because again, she hasn't been involved in anything too directly with like the politics and everything, so say D for now. Then the guild branch leader over in Bose, I think this time, right? So to put D. The ginger girl was the lady whose brother was a terrorist, also the one who's like, people just seem to really like ban. Oh, right, yes. Yeah, they're just really... I think her name was Kyla, I think? Or am I wrong about that? Anyway, yeah, I guess also D for her. I don't know who this is supposed to be, though. Yeah, I have no idea. Maybe he's supposed to be like Fisherman Lloyd, I think? Because they always point him out a lot in the Trail series, but aside from that, nothing else, so... Yeah, I guess D. Okay, this one, I think... If I remember correctly, he was the mayor of Ruan, right? Like, he was the former one back in Sky 1, who used that staff, which was taken by the church after, who tried to guarantee his election win again, but only to realize that he was just a pawn of Gilbert, if I remember. So yeah, I would also move him towards just D, because he just wasn't really much. Next we have, I think he's the mayor of where Estelle and Joshua were from, at least in their home anyway. So yeah, just can't think of anything else. Okay, now we have Niall. Niall, I would probably just put him in the higher of D tier just because he was always there getting the scoop, but at least he wasn't just like fabricating everything else, like for a specific kind of story and such. So I guess I could put that there. Philip, unfortunately, he's gonna also have to be low. Don't get me wrong, Philip was cool in his fight against him, both in the Phantasma and in the tournament. But yeah, it's like, aside from that, it's like, if he's supposed to be the aide of Duke Dunan, he should be like the voice of reason for him. But then again, I guess Dunan didn't really pay attention to that, so it's like, not much he could have done after that, but still. Okay, now the queen herself, or I guess the former queen, if we're talking about in the current the current timeline, I would actually put her in C tier, because again, she at least was understanding, she was being supportive, she was giving us access and permissions to a lot of other things, and again, was a benevolent leader at the end of the day. Tita's father, I could probably put her like, I'd probably put him less, because again, even with like that talk with Agate and everything, he still kind of has like the same opinion of Agate like Tita's mother, so. But also just not there, so yeah. And then for the Ravens, I give him D as well, but it's like I'd probably put him at least higher in D, just because again they would be more they were pretty funny to watch, and seeing as like they're all kind of like pieces of Agate in some way. It was like the three knuckleheads who actually just formed one individual if they could all work together in synchronicity. Alright, so now that we've got that out of the way, now I have to organize. Alright, I'm gonna first organize, like I said, the people from I'm gonna organize by rank. Yeah, so I'll start from S rank. Favorite character will still be Emma. That's not gonna change. For some of you, it may be sad to see. Others, a joy, but that's just how it is, okay? I'm balancing things out. Yeah, time to see how I say Lisa give her the shot. Oh, yeah, no. Okay, now for S rank. Alright, first thing I have to do, unfortunately, Lloyd, gonna have to go down. Because now that we look back on everything regarding all the Trails characters, or specifically the Trails leads, he definitely is one of the lesser ones. I wouldn't say he's the worst, but again, he does feel more like an implemented OC that you could put there, especially since we are the ones making the decisions. Like, don't get me wrong, when it comes to investigating, it's like, that part makes sense, but when it comes to making decisions about, like, the characters and, like, their relationships and such, we are the ones more making the decisions than him. Yeah. Lloyd is basically if Batman and Natsu. Okay. No, you know what? I could definitely see that. So yeah, I would at least just put Lloyd at A, okay? Like, I can at least do that. Like I said, it doesn't take away everything from him, but it's like, it takes away from him being an S rank. Alright, now, how do I order these? Olivier, he's definitely grown on me a bit more now. Especially what with, what's it called? His, activity regarding, like, starting his confrontation with Osborn back in Liberl, and seeing how he tried to, like, play between both sides of, like, being Erebonian and yet trying to help his friends in in the Liberl, when he had to bring the army to the border, then try to talk with Chloe. It was over this situation. So that was good at least. So another point for Olivier. So he will stay in A rank. I think he'll probably stay in the middle, or nah, I guess I would actually put him much higher. I'd probably actually put Olivier just above Randy, just because how much help and an impact of a character Olivier was throughout the entirety of the course of Trails. And Sky just really helped even more, especially since it's like he was already S-rank just based on the stuff he had done before, like Naraboni and such. But now with this context of the events in Sky, I would say he's more higher in the S rank. Now for Estelle, I would definitely put her top 3. She has to be my top. No, yeah, top 3. Give her that. Yeah, and of course her reason being top 3 is like, come on, she is the protagonist. And she is the best protagonist out of all the Trails games. You can find a shadow of doubt. Now, here's where things get a bit unfortunate. I will have to move Ren down lower. And I really don't want to, don't get me wrong. Ren is definitely one of the best characters. But she just got blue-balled so hard in Trails to Daybreak that I can't let that go. Once, that's one thing. 2 whole games, they made her a sideline character. Like, dude, have you seen how much of a genius and, like, how capable of a fighter she's been since Sky? Dude, she's supposed to be one of, like, the greatest characters in the games. Like, she should be. And yet, as we have said just now, it's because Van hurt her bad. He really did. Especially since they're trying to make it seem like Van is supposed to be a love interest for Ren. It's like, really? I don't think that should be it. Not only that, but they made her think. Exactly. It's like, really? You're trying to make Ren fall for Van, not for the people who helped her out. But, like, especially in the big way. Just Van who gave her a ride, basically. And that's it. And that's enough to woo her? Nah, man. That's fucking messed up. And because her daddy tried to make Van matter to her more than Estelle. Exactly! That's the thing! It's like, they're trying to make it seem like he saved her life, when no! Estelle and Joshua saved her life. She would have been stuck as a killer, otherwise. Like, tell me if Van would have still had significance if Estelle and Joshua didn't do anything with her. Tell me that. So unfortunately, I will have to put her lower than Randy and Tio. Unfortunately, because at least even with Trails of Cold Steel and Reverie, Tio wasn't done bad, or at least not so much as the degree as they had done to Ren with Daybreak. Same could be said for Randy, so yeah. Breacher, you know it. Alright, now for Joshua, I'm gonna have to give him probably equal to Randy. That's what I'm gonna say. I'm not gonna say a number, but equal to Randy in the sense that they were both just in terrible environments where they actually tried to defy the fate that, or the hand that they were dealt in life. Joshua's being an assassin for Ouroboros and even being an enforcer, and Randy being supposedly the next supposed to be leader of the Red Constellation. And again, two completely different stories where it's like, where Randy, he at least had the whole team of the SSS, whereas Joshua, it was the person who's been with him the whole time, Estelle. So different magnitudes and different approaches to the situations. And again, it's not like they're the same people. They obviously had their own differences and such, and their own stories. Hence why it's like, I'd say at least they're equal when it's like you sum it all up. Chloe, I will unfortunately have to leave her like in the bottom half. Because don't get me wrong, I do love Chloe, I really do. But at the same time, it's like, can I say it's like as much as the rest of the team here? That's the only thing I can't really speak to. Weissman, you know what? Because Weissman was untouched as a character since, what was it? The Sky series? I'll actually put him in the middle. Because again, at least he wasn't done dirty. Like, he was referenced a bit, like when Gunther tried to copy his powers to like make people kneel before him. But that's the only time they really did that. So I'm gonna leave Weissman in the middle at the very least. I would still say Tio is obviously better than him for a number of reasons, but yeah. Now for Kevin, though. I might actually put Kevin in the top 3. I'm putting it. But I will still leave him just behind Estelle. In at least the top 3 in S. Because, again, Kevin's a protagonist. And definitely one of the better ones. However, again, it was just to the extent of one game. Where it's like, even with Estelle only being the protagonist of 2, not like Reen who had at least like 4 games, her presence and her development were way more like in-depth, emotional, and all the other things that you could try to describe it as. So that is why I definitely put Estelle higher than Kevin. But not to say that Kevin isn't a great one, but yeah, if I had to decide between the two, Estelle would just inch a bit more over Kevin. But again, that's still slight. Still pretty close contested between the two. Again, especially when you consider they both are 2 completely different types of protagonists when you cover the entirety of the trilogy. So that's what I would say for that. Oh, my bad. Just loop the playlist. So let me actually go back to the top and start it again. Okay, there we go. And you know what? Again, I know it sucks for me to do this. It really does. But I will actually have to put Ren actually lower than Chloe. It does suck. It really does. But again, even with how Chloe's had like her cameos in the Crossbell story and Erebonia, again, it just wasn't like that bad where it's like you physically saw like there was that much of a difference from like them negatively from the Sky series to the current points in the games. So yeah, this is where I would put all those who are already at S rank. Also, Steve needs much. Yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. All right, now let us start with the A ranks. And this is where things are going to take an interesting turn because now I'm going to make a huge announcement right here and now. Reen Schwartz has made the S tier, baby. He's made the S tier. I know, shocker. After all my preaching about it before. But it's like, again, it's like, Reen as a character himself, when not dragged down by a lot of Class 7, has been a great character to follow through. Like now when you compare what his accolades, his achievements, and his progression compared to Lord, Reen's would definitely be on the higher end of that spectrum. Now, as to where I would put Reen, I would put him... I'll put him between Tio and Weissman, because I feel like at least he is more well put together as a character, especially since he is a protagonist in the Cold Steel series. But again, because the team, or a good number of Class 7 does drag him down, I can't put him in the higher end spectrum of S tier. So I will put at least Reen in the middle of S tier. I feel like that's at least a good spot when you're adding the collective. What with the first game being where his whole adventure starts and him trying to find himself. Then from the second game learning about this new power and this new role he's supposed to take. Then from the third game where he grows up and hopefully he has enough power to actually be able to take control of his own life, only to learn that it's like, once again, he's under the control of many other forces that he couldn't have predicted, then finally being able to surpass that. Yeah, he's at his best around Emma Croge's toward new class. Exactly. So hence why Reen will be in the middle of S rank. Because again, if it was just those characters, then he would definitely be on the higher end. Hell, maybe he'd even be like Kevin and Estelle kind of S rank. But because we still had to include his interactions with the other members, I will have to put him here. And that is the best I can do for that. Let's see. Any other characters I need to change? Rufus, he will definitely go down a bit more. And my reasoning for this is, well, firstly, in part with when it came to Reverie, like partially because they tried to make him a good guy, was like he was much better as an antagonist. But I will also say another thing that just seems a bit unfortunate that they did to him was his involvement, or better to emphasize his lack of impact in Calvert, because supposedly he's the one who sent Sven and Nadia. This whole thing had been happening with Lapis where she's been asleep for so long, and this dude's just standing behind the scenes just watching. Like, I get he has attention all around him, but again, dude, you don't have nearly as much attention or clout as the Cassius Bright, okay? Can we just, like, be completely honest about that? Like, please? He will be in Horizon. Yeah, it's like, I figure, but it's like, at least for now, just on all that, and from what the tiniest bit you see of him in 2, I'll put him lower. If anything, I'd probably say the least of it for now. At least compared to all these other ones. Alright, now... Oh yeah, Risha also got done a bit dirty too, just because like she's supposed to be Yin, but it's like, again, it's like supposedly helping Van and all that, so... Oh right, what am I thinking? I had to put Aurelia Le Guin higher. Duh. Definitely one of the most capable women, aside from like Estelle and some of these other characters. So she will definitely be in... Now let me actually put her... Let me put her in top 5. Yeah. I think this is good. And actually, do I want to say Milliam over Altina? Or Altina? No, you know what? I'll say Milliam and Altina are equal. Just as they're sisters. I feel like they both have their amazing qualities that are different from each other. So, yeah. I'll say those two are tied at 2. LeGuin will be 4th. Then Ash for now 5th. I think that's how I should best approach this. Alright, now for Richard, again, I wouldn't say he has nearly as much of the impact compared to, like, Crow. You have Ash was screwed over by Zephyr? Nah, he really was. Which is a damn shame. But Richard, again, being the kind of guy who wanted to do what's best for his country, but just got screwed over. But again, at least this one was definitely much better done with Dieter Croy, especially since they tried to make Dieter Croy more of a good guy in Reverie in some way. I mean, still, don't get me wrong, they did try to pardon Richard, but it's like, at least Richard's like, he's still kind of like contemplating on the fact that it's like, does he really deserve this kind of second chance, and really just putting his entire life for LeBeau, more so than just like him trying to stay in his cushy job, or hoping that like staying in the military would do that. Yeah, Risha gets screwed over by them keeping her as an assassin. Oh, yes. How can we forget about that? That's also the reason Risha went lower in this tier list. Because, thank you for reminding me, Ryu. They did do that, yes. Because it's like, we've already gone past her being an assassin arc back in Crossbell. Like, we literally finished that. It's done. It's over. Because Lloyd even told her to just be herself now. Don't just be stuck to being Yin. What does Risha want? What do you desire? Even a tiny bit that they were trying to do with Reverie as well, when Ilya got involved. But it's like, once we go back to Daybreak, it's like, almost everything from all those other games meant nothing. Which sucks, so yeah, I definitely put her below ours, below Vina. Should I put her... Yeah, they also have Risha downplay herself for... Oh yeah, the fact that they're trying to say that Judith's more capable than her is like, what? Are you serious? Like, if I compared how the playstyles were between both of them, Risha is still my better pick between her and Judith, easily. Like, if they were to somehow make a collab with, like, the entire cast of Reverie, and then the entire cast of Daybreak, Risha would be miles ahead of Judith. Can we please talk about that? I won't say they did her as bad as Rufus, but they still done her dirty like that, so... Yeah. So I would put Richard... I'll put Richard actually a bit above Risha, because, again, at least they haven't brought up the whole thing with Richard. So, yeah. Yeah, Judah is a fan. Yeah. Okay, now Louve. Louve is kind of an interesting case. Because, again, I actually like this dude. He's badass. A very interesting character to kind of, like, dive deep into. I don't know. Maybe because of what Zephyr had kind of done with Ash, maybe I should put him above, maybe I should put Louve... Nah, you know what? I'm gonna actually make that decision, because this is my damn tier list, damn it. I'll put Louve above Ash. I'm gonna do it. Again, it sucks, but, like they said, it's like, Zephyr did kind of screw him over a bit. And again, it's not that big of like, an effect that's, like, it's putting him all the way down to the bottom of A rank. But to me, at least, as long as they don't try to bring back Lu-Ray from the fucking dead, I will put Lu-Ray in my top 5. That's just how he was to me throughout the course of the game, and even by having the confrontation of him and Joshua 1v1. Tita. I could definitely put Tita above more. I would say, considering she is one of the main cast and also is a very contributive force of the main cast, I would say she's kind of equal to what Jesus was. However, Jesus just goes above her because he actually had more of the conflict where he had to go up against his father and his lineage and everything and think about what would a good noble for his country really do. You know? That's kind of the difference between Jesus and Tita for me, and hence why I would have Jesus up here ahead of her. But that doesn't mean Tita goes down any less. She does go above Vita, however, because again, it's like Vita's current stance, it's still a bit up in the air, because we don't know what exactly is going on with her. Like, has she completely left Ouroboros? Is she still in anguish for them? Especially since she did still help out the crew a bit later on. It's like, well, with Musa being a student, so I still can't really make heads of like where I would want to put her since then, but at least for now, I'll just leave her like that for the time being. Yeah, I think that's probably my safest bet. Now for Cassius Bright, I will actually put him above Vita as well, because again, the man who is just that guy and actually did have a major effect on everything, whether he actually was present or not, or even just hearing that he may be involved, already shows like just how this man can make waves just by his name alone, you know? Kind of like how like when you see the bat signal, you can just know it's like he will be there, whether you like it or not. You feel me? At least that's just kind of my interpretation of like how when his name drops, everyone just like drops everything. Gilbert, I actually will put him a bit higher on the A. I think I can at least put him lower than Risha, because again, I still did love Risha's development from her, like, leaving an assassin thing, but again, what they did to her in Daybreak, trying to make her still like an assassin, didn't like that. But Gilbert is like, he's still comic relief, but again, just comic relief nonetheless, but still well written, so it was like, he at least has a spot in A rank, alright? That's the best I could go for. Rias, I could definitely go a bit more. I would say... Do I want to say she's better than Tita or lower than Tita? Because kind of like how Tita's trying to be someone for Ren, Rias is to be one for Kevin. However, again, this is just a span of one game in which Tita's, at least we've seen the progression to try to like be there for Ren. But then again, it's not like Tita had as much of that impact when it came to like the crossbow one, whereas Rias, we've seen that direct change for Kevin for the better with her presence, so I actually would put her higher then. Now, do I put her above Ash and Chooses? Rias doesn't show up in Horizon better. What? Are you serious? You're telling me Kevin, a Dominion, doesn't have his squire, Rias, with him? Why? Well, then again, I guess most of them don't have a squire with them later on. No, wait, actually, that's not true. Wazzy has he has this guy with the shades with him. Thomas had a Rosario, or whatever her name is, right? So, what the fuck? Yeah, actually, now that I think about it, why? Rias should be with him. Because the difference is with, like, Leon and Celis, it's like, they're two Dominions partnered up. That's different. But still, it's like, everyone else had the squire with them. Why can't Kevin? Bro, you're ruining the dynamic. That's like if they brought Estelle to, the crossbow, but they didn't bring Joshua, you know? It's like, what the fuck are y'all doing? That's crazy, man. No, you know what? In respect to that, Rias is going higher. She's going higher than Ash and Jesus. Someone has to pay her damn respect, and I'll be the one to do that if I have to, okay? I'm gonna do that. So yeah, I'm gonna make that judgment. Maybe a terrible judgment, but it's my judgment. Lloyd, I would definitely say he's better than some of these other characters, just because at least he wasn't done dirty as well. But then again, I guess they did make that whole situation Crossbell again, where it's like even after they'd gone through everything, they're back to being down at the bottom without the city to support them and stuff. But still, it's like he still hasn't really given up anything in the consequence, so I guess it's fine. I could definitely say at least more than Richard and Art. Actually, you know what? I guess I could actually say he's at least above Vita, because again, it's like Vita's stance is still kind of up in the air, so I can't really say it's like she can still be an A rank or where she is an A rank. So for the time being, I'll say that. But Cassius would still be miles ahead of Lloyd. Yeah, I think this is how I'll do A rank. Yeah. And again, these are my takes. You guys are free to critique it or go against it you want, but again, it's my tier list. Alright, now for B rank. I'm gonna make another change again. Juna will actually make A rank. But she will at least just be ahead of Rufus, because again, Juna at least finally becoming a leader that she's supposed to be for the class. Because back there she was kind of wavering, not only when it came to like crossbow stuff specifically, but also just like with like after seeing people like Reen try to be the hero, it's like he still wasn't able to surpass the impossible and stuff. And actually seeing her develop a bit more, and like as long as they don't do anything to her character, I think she can at least deserve A. I feel like that's the best opinion I can kind of give on that. Like I said, Mueller, he will stay where he is. Agate and Zin, I already did theirs, so we won't have to do anything for that. Next would be... I'm gonna actually put Wazi lower here. I'll probably put him like around Gunter. Because again, it's like, he is supposed to be like that kind of like mysterious kind of character. But again, it's like, just like the Dominions, they do less and less. It's like, he could have at least halted some of the stuff that had been going on if he wasn't distracted by like his whole gang and everything like that. So that is what I will say for that. Let's see. Who else currently here right now? You know what? I actually... I will give Sharon a bit more higher. Like, don't get me wrong, because this will be an emotional support for Lloyd and Ilya for Risha. I would still say Sharon at least piques my interest more, so I'll put her here. Oh, right, I actually have to put Grimwood down lower now, too, don't I? Because of what they tried to do for him for, Tristan. Oh, no, wait, this was during the Reverie, too. That's what am I talking about? Now, you know what? I know I had it for since the end of Reverie, but now given the time, like, actually seeing what a real villain is like, and what terrible villains are like, I'll put Grimwood in the C tier. I think I do at least have the right to do that. And then I will put... I'm gonna put Osborne... I'm gonna leave Osborne in B. And this is because I'm mainly focusing because a lot of what was written for him from, like, Trails was him, like, as the evil Osborne, who was willing to knock down anybody to get what he wants. That's what I at least remember more of him by. So I feel like at the very least, that's like, that takes over more of his character. What they did lessen him to B. But if he was at least just that same evil bastard from before, he would have been A. Hell, who knows? Maybe he could have potentially been S rank like Weissman. Probably not, but at least he could have potentially had that. So yeah. Alright, now for Aryan Road. Again, I know not much has changed since then, but again, now that we've gone to a lot of depth with this, it's like, again, it's like she could have gone about different ways to try to help her beloved from another life, but she just chose not to, and just stood by the side and decided, like, let's team up with a villain who barely gets involved with him to try to help him instead, like, just get involved in this war that just involves him and nothing more. So yeah, she'll definitely go, like, let's go Machia's level, yeah. Because again, I will still say her OST still one of the best OSTs in the game, and her boss fight was pretty good, but still aside from that, it's like everything else still weighing her down, so it's like that's where she goes into C, okay? It's the best I can do. Oh, Elisa. God damn. Now after going all this and actually seeing what a real main heroine is supposed to be like from Agnes, I'm gonna have to I'm gonna have to reevaluate how I see Elisa now. Because again, it's like, forget the extreme language, but Steelmate is a dimwitted voice actor life on a man who didn't even have can. True. Like again, don't get me wrong. That's still gonna be a major part, and hence why I at least put it down to C. But again, it's like I just can't ignore like just at least on the playstyle for it. It's like that's really what's like that's what left her at least here. If that wasn't there, like her OST and her fight, I would have thrown her ass all the way to the end of D. Hell, who even knows? Maybe I would have thrown her ass to F. But that's just me being nice. But yeah, Elisa though, yeah, we're gonna have to do something about that. Yeah, if Emma Agnes is still the MVP, nah, for real. Yeah, Elisa, I'm dragging your ass all the way down. Actually, now that I think about it, I also have to throw Laura back into... Yeah, you know what? I'm actually put them in D. Because at least they try to have some relevancy compared to like Fee, who just fucks up over and over. So yeah. Alright, there we go. I feel much better with this. I might actually put Claire a bit higher than some of these people too, when I gotta look back on her situation. Yeah, I think this goes. Alright, so now for Blue Blanc. I think I will still leave him at the bottom of a B, just because with Blue Blanc, there isn't much to be said after the fact of him just always being the kind of trickster, always just play tricks on us, and just being there. And being able to like sneak through just because he's that kind of magician. Shara, I could definitely put her above more. I would say probably to the extent... I wouldn't say she's like big sister material like Cecil or Ilya is. So I would say she's at least a good emotional support for Estelle in the ways that like Elise kind of is for Reen. So at least that's how I would put it, in my opinion. So yeah, I will at least put Shara there. But yeah, I wouldn't even say it tries to have relevance. It doesn't do anything unless other people make her. She didn't even try to write anyone. Like the time skip, despite having no response. Oh yeah, true, because it's like we're supposed to write letters to each other. It's like she's just walking around having fun. It's like, what, you're telling me you couldn't have done that? Like even during like water breaks? Like, bro. It's a fair point. I will make that adjustment later. But that's why I reached D tier. Okay. Old Man Russell, I could probably put him like to like Lecter as well. Like at least being someone getting involved in the sides that they are aligned to. And at least making some impact in the relevancy of like how their involvement in like the plans of the side that they're aligned with affected the country that they're in. Sid, I actually would go as far as to say that he's at the same level as Sergei. So deserves more respect? No, yeah, I'm just focusing on or at least trying to focus on more on the Sky ones for now. Yeah, I would say as much as Chief Sergei, because Chief Sergei at least trying to make right for like what happened with Guy and such, and then Sid at least trying to make right for what went on with Richard and them. Alright, Toa. Yeah, I could definitely put Toa a bit more than a lot of these other people. Let's see. I could put Toa... Now, you know what? I could give Toa top 2 of B. I feel like I could at least do that. Now, you know what? Comparatively, considering their two roles, yeah, I'll put Toa top of B, I think. You have Sarah, one who basically is only there to justify Fee being there. Oh, yeah, I guess that is true in a way. Aside from like having a bracer involved in the lives of younger individuals, like how Cheryl was for the son Joshua. Alright, now for Gisette, again, considering kind of like her feelings for Joshua and the whole situation with the cap was, I could probably say at least lower than Alphen, I guess. Because even with Alphen knowing what Cedrica does, like Alphen at least was still a supporter of Class 7, despite everything. Julia, I would say at least a bit more, there, but I say as much as I'd say probably at least less than Lecter. Yeah, that's what I would say. And Walter, I'd say about as much as Gunther, because at least with Gunther trying to be like a psychopath 2.0 compared to Weissman. It's like Walter, initially he was like that kind of badass, like evil guy. But then with Daybreak ruining him, it's like it'll still be a B rank, like lower end, but not the worst. Or not the worst, but like the lowest of B rank. Okay, let's see. Then I try to look here. Let's see. I'm trying to think how I would want to do this now. Ina's, I will at least give her a bit more, because again, her story with Shera had really carried her over a bit more, so I'd probably put her in the middle of oh god damn it, why is it, I really do need to get a new mouse, because it keeps like losing the lock on it. Yeah, Ella was the weasel who lied about his dad to gain sympathy. Yeah, that is true. I'll make that change in a bit. Wait, where's Elliot again? Oh, okay, there we go. Yeah, great. What was it? Oh, right, Ina. I could put Ina probably at least here, I think. Yeah, let me actually put Elliot in the D rank then. Yeah, let me actually put Kurt here. Celeste von Auslese, I'd say at least similar to like what Svite was supposed to be for the SSS. I think for a lot of these would probably still be the same, but I could probably do it like shit. Let's see. We'll do it like this. Just because, again, there isn't really too much to act on for this, but at least something. Yeah, and then let's go with... Let's see. I'm trying to figure out how I want to do this a bit more. I actually do this, and then yeah, okay, yeah, this is how I'll do C rank, because there's not really much to talk about with a lot of these other characters, whether just being for one part or just for like a side content. So yeah, all right, now we will move on to... Oh, right, no, actually, let me put the professor lower, because he was just a Senji guy just trying to do research, not caring for what to do. Like, if anything, he might as well have joined Ouroboros too. Like Novartis did. Just for the sake of it. You know what? I actually move Kurt a bit up. Let me actually do this. Yeah, let me actually move Mom low too, just because. Yeah. Okay, I think that should be good. Okay, now for where would I put Elisa, Laura, and her father? Okay, yeah, that's also another major point I need to make on. Because, yeah, a lot of these D1s, I can't really do anything else about it, honestly. Yeah, so I probably would leave a lot of those the same. For certain. Yeah, I definitely would have to put them at F. Because again, it's like, for how powerful they're supposed to be, or supposed to be like the new Vanders and stuff, they really did not hold up to it. I'd probably say Tom is level useless in my opinion, just because it's like, again, it's like they're supposed to be this good, and yeah, it's like they've done nothing with it whatsoever, considering they could make a much bigger difference if they had, specifically for Victor Arcade. So No, actually, I'll make him lower because unlike Thomas, who's the second Dominion, Arcade was a what was Victor's name? He was the Blade Master or something. Or, it's not like the Blade Lord, Sword Master, or whatever. I don't remember, but yeah, for whatever title he was in, not even a Divine Blade. It's like, bitch, what are you talking about? Elisa would definitely move to a Duke Cayenne kind of levels. Stupid. Yeah, they don't even have responsibilities to justify their. Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah. Actually put. Nah, but Laura's at least there as opposed to Thomas, who's a second Dominion. So, I'll do that. Just them coasting off. Still Main's name. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so I'll do this. Yeah. Yeah, and Elisa just here, because, like, it's the best of what I could do of, like, her not being a good character and then just, like, people who were, like, barely relevant. Now, actually, you know what? I'm gonna actually move, Tita's mom lower, too, because, again, it's, like, it's one thing for her to care so much about her daughter. It's another thing to, like, hate on Agate thinking there's gonna be a thing where it's, like, you know, you could just care more about your daughter still alive, right? Like, I'm not saying to, like, make him your son-in-law or anything like that or anything crazy, but you could at least be thankful to the guy, you know? Yeah, also she literally shamed Reem for his master quitting on him when he was a rook. Yeah, facts. Yeah, so I'll probably do it like this. Yeah. I like this better. Yeah, and again, I guess I can move Lucille a bit more. Because again, with her thing with, Shara, I can move it about this much higher in D. Yeah. Now the problem is I kind of also want to put Fee at least favorite character because, again, the problem with her is she even failed an escort mission. Like, she was supposed to escort those two twins in Daybreak. And she failed even that just because she was like, you know what, you can walk home by yourself even though it's near here. It's like, yeah, sure, no one's going to take that opportunity when I'm not looking or in the area and can't sense you to just go do something, you know? Because it's one thing when Celine's is, like, criticizing Emma and everything like that, but it's like, Fee's, it's like, she's supposed to have this new break in, literally Daybreak. If she fucks that up too, it's like, could she actually be least favorite character? But that still doesn't, like, necessarily erase everything, like, the stuff with Celine, so it's like, that's what's really giving me a hard time with this. I think I'm shit, that's actually hard for me to think about now that I'm voicing all of this. Let's see.
It's currently 1 a.m.
Oh, my bad. Let me do this. If Celine was someone who actively withheld info from Emma and then gaslight her when Emma asked questions, despite the fact she was supposed to teach Emma. Nah, yeah, that's true, because again, she's someone who had responsibilities and should have been doing her job, but she didn't. Nah, yeah, that's true. Whereas, like, the difference is, like, at least Fee is, like, she is still young and inexperienced, whereas, like, at least that argument could have at least some weight. Whereas, like, for Celine, it's like, no, you're a guardian here, sent by frickin' Idios. You should be the one to help her for this and be her pillar. But you're not even doing that, you know? Because it's like, it does a huge disrespect to the other guardians, like the dragon from Sky or Zwei from the Crossbell story, you know? Which reminds me, we still haven't really gone to a guardian beast in Daybreak yet. Are we even gonna have one, or are we just gonna skip over that this time around? Because Lee also procrastinated all the time. Once we're expected to do anything. Expected mounds of praise for doing the bare minimum. Yeah, that's true. So yeah, Celine will still stay there. But yeah, okay, so yeah. Let's see if I'm fine with this. Olivier being here. Estelle being here. Yeah, I wouldn't give it the benefit of that for age, but I would give it the fees and incompetence. Nah, yeah, that's true. Alright, so yeah. So there we have it. I think this should be it. The time Septarian is in Horizon. Oh, okay, no, so we are going to have Septarian, finally. But it just hasn't appeared yet. Really? This long and we still haven't had them appear? That's crazy. Which is actually kind of weird because basically in Sky, the Septarian gets involved in the second game of Sky. A Crossbow is in the first one in 0. Then Celine starting from 2? Well, technically 1, but actually shows their existence in 2. Yeah, Septarians have always been a key partisan. Now, I was just wondering if we were ever going to have one in Daybreak, because it didn't look like we did. Tied to Genesis. Great. They tied to Genesis 2? Of fucking course. Because that would explain a lot then, right? Like, how would Agnes's grandfather even have the power or the tech to even create the Genesis with, like, world-breaking, world-shattering abilities without even having the full knowledge of it? Well, at least that'll explain that, but I'll just need to go into the detail later. If in all fairness, it makes sense. No, yeah, like, at least that part will finally make sense. Because I still been wondering, it's like, if this man literally somehow accidentally made these kind of powers and these kind of artifacts or whatever, why even make them if they were going to be that destructive in the first place? But again, just stuff for later then. Like, don't get me wrong, I definitely would potentially put Estelle in favorite character. But again, it's like, we still think that Olivier still has at least more to offer. And again, Emma as a whole throughout the entirety of Trails of Cold Steel. I'd still probably do it like this, because at least I have put Estelle in the top 3 of S, where she was in A rank before. You have Emma, Reed, Randy, and Kevin at the top. Sweet just... Nah, it really is. Because again, it's like, don't get me wrong, I did like Green as a character. It was just like, when I got to my thoughts at the time, that's just where I put him at the very least. But now with like everything else to think about it on and taking my sweet time, like actually making some considerations, just seems more right to like kind of have it like this. But yeah, with that, I think that finally covers the tier list for Trails all the way up until Reverie. And it gets slightly into Daybreak if we're counting characters from older games getting involved in Daybreak. Like I said, I will do a Daybreak tier list when we get to Horizon, just because it's like, I'd rather have all of that covered first before I do a tier list. Because if I remember right, there's supposed to be like, they need to do another game after Horizon because it doesn't end on Horizon, right? And if that's the case, then I'd still probably just do it after Horizon, just because considering it's going to take that long to get to Horizon by like next year, who knows how long it's going to take to get to part 2 of Horizon, considering it's like, supposedly, it's not the end yet, you know? Yeah, I can't wait to show Van, again, yeah. But yeah, I think I did at least do more justice putting Weissman at S rank, Chloe at S rank. It really does still hurt my heart that I put Ren at the bottom of S. Yes, I spoiled Calvary before. Oh, come on. Now they're copying Cold Steel and the fact that they need 4 games? Fucking terrific. Seriously, what aren't they gonna copy from their other games next? But yeah, don't get me wrong. Like I said, it hurts my heart and soul to put Ren at the bottom of S. It does. Like, I'm actually still conflicted. But at the same time, it's like, I can't forgive what they did to her in Daybreak for the life of me, and in 2 games, not just 1. Like, if they made it a one-off thing, and they were like, oh, it's an accident, we meant to change it differently, then sure. Hell, I'd even accept that. But with the fact that they're still continuing that, it's like, I can't. There's some things I can, like, resist and, like, kind of, like, mildly accept. It's another thing where it's like, you're throwing all that to the wayside. I think I at least also did do better putting Marias, Louve, and Aurelia higher on the A rank. And finally giving Cassius the respect he deserves. Considering this man is a fucking beast. And like I said, he always will be him, no matter what. Yeah, it's nice to see someone know the pain of Daybreak after what we know in Sky. Exactly! And it's like, that's the thing. The characters are literally at their best when it came to Sky, for a good number of them. But then it's like, they're getting lowered by Daybreak. It's like, why? Why are you doing this to me? It was practically a masterpiece in Sky. Don't you dare ruin something that's beautiful and endearing to my heart. And like, at least putting Richard in A, I feel more comfortable with. And Gilbert in A, because again, this dude's funny. At least funny for all the right reasons. I think I hopefully did justice by at least putting Juna in A rank. Again, it's like what they do to my man Rufus, man. Like, first they making him good in Reverie, then they make him want to be like, oh no, I was in control the whole time, but I'm just watching. And now, in some reason, Horizon's supposed to actually get involved. Like, what's going to be the excuse this time for not actually taking part the first time in Daybreak 2? I'm going to be curious to see what his excuse is that time around, aside from just people be watching and people be hating. Again, Agate and Zen, I can at least put them in B rank, because again, it's like, at least they were braces who did their job in the Burl. Where, unfortunately, I can't say the same for Zen and Daybreak, but at the very least, I can do him this honor of putting him here. And again, some of the other characters like Gisette, Sid, Shara, Walter, Julia, Old Man Russell, and Blue Blanc. And again, others is just from like the one side. And again, remember, for a good number of these other side characters and extras in Trails in the Sky, it's not that I hate them to the extent that they have to be that low. Some of it is due in part that I just don't have enough where it's like I could scale them to a lot of other characters. Especially when you consider it's like what the entirety of the story of Sky was meant to be. So know that this isn't just me like saying like, oh, Kurt could never measure up to Marcus, or it's like I love Marcus way more than I do Kurt. No, it's not like that. It's just me like going off of like everything that I can possibly remember for that. Yeah. You say does deserve the low rank? She's Lelouch, Julia. Is it Gambit? Nah, I could always. But yeah. Know that's just my mindset when going through these tier lists. It isn't like personal, like, or it's just like completely only love hate or only going through only logical reasoning. It's kind of like a mix of everything. And I can be missing a couple parts there, but again, I'm not willing to go like in depth of like research super lore to go about it, because then it wouldn't be my take on it, you know? It wouldn't be my tier list. It'd just be like me trying to like, me capping by making a title official tier list, and I'm not about that. I'm gonna tell y'all how I feel about what I see and what I experience, and that's just gonna be the bottom line. Like, don't get me wrong, I will take y'all opinions into consideration and be like, do I agree with it or do I not? Based on what I've seen. But it won't go so far to the point where it's like, it'll automatically just be objectively that opinion the entire damn time. And again, you guys are free to disagree with them if you want to. But again, that's just the point. Agree to disagree. But we'll just leave it at that. But yeah, this will be my tier list for now, for the stream. It's nice to finally get all that shit out in the open. And finally be done with the tier list that's taken years for me to go through. Ever since I started my streaming career with Trails of Cold Steel 1, all the way to now, finally, somehow, my latest Trails game being completed being Trails in the Sky 3rd. Seriously, what the fuck is with my orders of playing the video games? This was nice. Yeah, I'm glad to finally get all that off my chest and finally say, I'm finished. By the way, I did decide the next game I'm going to do is East 9 Monster Nox, and let me give my reason for it. The reason I'm doing that game is because if I do Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, one, it takes up a lot of space on my PC, but it's not really so much that, it's that the VODs will take up a lot of space on my external hard drive, that it's like I would have to buy a new one because it's already running low on space, whereas like the VODs where I do for like PGR, HSR, and WoWA, it's like it can hold as many of those as possible for a good long while. But if I was to do Final Fantasy automatically, it's like it wouldn't be able to, unfortunately, and then I would have to buy a new one. But unfortunately, I'm just not working at the moment. I'm still on break, so it's that I wouldn't be able to get a new hard drive immediately, considering I had to get ready to pay off my next student, or do my next payment for my student loan. So it's like, out of all the other games that I could do, and like I don't want to have to automatically just purchase Ace Attorney Trilogy, considering it's like I wouldn't make sure I'd have enough money for like the next month. I'm just going for a game I do have that doesn't take up too much space. But I would still think about like later on if I do Ace Attorney Trilogy or Final Fantasy VII Rebirth as the game after that, when I have a stable job again to be able to purchase another hard drive and continue doing a whole lot of games at the same time. Yep. After that, if you don't mind older games, I recommend Final Fantasy Pixels Remasters. This was Final Fantasy 9 and 10. Okay, I mean, I'll write down the recommended list. Because again, I'm always looking for new games. So FF 9 and 10. Pixel Master. Alright. All of which I'm pretty sure are on Steam. Yeah. Pixel Remaster shouldn't take up too much. Alright. I mean, I'll take your word for it. But yeah, with that, we will finally be done with the entirety of the Trails series for now, until we get to a remake, which I will stream once it comes out on September. Luckily, it comes out after my birthday, so it'll be fun to actually have something new to actually see. And again, hopefully, it gets the good amount of voice acting it needs. Because again, it's like, a lot of moments would be really great to have that. And I'll be interested to see how the combat mechanics are going to be in the new game, considering it seems to reflect more of like on Daybreak style compared to like the OG one back in Sky. But we'll just have to see how it is. But anyway, that is going to be the tier list for today. Finally completing this damn list. But yeah, anyway, I hope you guys did enjoy the stream for today. Again, not the usual kind of thing that I do, but hey, y'all know if it's games I care about or just am too engrossed in, I just have to do a tier list, you know? I did it for Under Night, I did it for Honkai Impact, so possibly other games later on will have the same kind of treatment, but for now, it's just how it's gonna be. But anyway, let me give a huge shout out to both RinUEF and ICAF for both showing up to stream, especially you, RinUEF. Always great chatting with you, man. Let's see, today's Sunday, right? So I'll see if I can stream tomorrow. If I stream tomorrow, it will potentially be either be Honkai Impact 3rd, because I still have to catch up on the main story for that, or it will be Punishing Grey Raven, because again, I want to finish the Vera floating record, so then I can do the Jetavi one, hopefully, and get done with that potentially before the DMC5 collab. But yeah, you guys will know when you see on the notifications. But if you guys did enjoy the stream but you're not already found the channel, please make sure to leave a follow. Much appreciated. Check out my YouTube channel, I post all the VODs. Subscribe there as well. Join the Discord, you guys not already. Links to all those are on the channel. But with that, this will be the final send-off for Trails in the Sky, the original series. It's been a fun ride, guys, and I hope you enjoyed the series as much as I have. At least Trails in the Sky, because this was literally a peak storytelling game. Definitely one of the peak ones. I'm gonna miss it. Well, at least until remake again. Like I said, I'm hoping they at least do it a good amount of justice, but only time will tell, you know? But anyway, this has been Xantos Vice. I hope you guys have a great rest of your night. I'll see you guys next time.